From teaching robots to talk to eating stones, here are 10 incredible animal behaviors. Number 10. Pigeons procrastinate. You might think that it's just humans who have a habit of procrastinating and putting things off until tomorrow. Yep, we've all done it, don't lie. But it turns out that animals do it too. Instead of taking opportunities when they see them, as you might expect, pigeons have been documented doing the exact opposite. Researchers studied how they would deal with unpleasant tasks and found that they would avoid doing them, even if further down the line they would have to do something more difficult. This is an amazing example of animals making the same kinds of decisions that we usually associate with ourselves, and is further proof that they think in similar ways to us. We have often thought that animals use purely instinctual behavior, but now we know it's not always the case. Next time you see a carefree pigeon doing something weird, like walking around in circles, just remember there may be far more going on in its little brain than you might think. They still aren't my favorite animal in the world, though. Number 9. Cows eat in the same direction. When you look at a field of grazing cows, have you ever noticed that they are all facing the same direction? It gets even weirder because it turns out that all of the cows in the world face one of two directions, north or south. This is called animal magnetism. It's a well-known fact that most animals have some sense of magnetism. It's how birds know how to migrate, and even how some fish navigate through the sea. But with cows, the effect is different. A team that studied multiple herds found that when they eat, cows will align themselves along a north-south axis, meaning they will only ever point in one of two directions while grazing or resting. Why? It was deduced that this is because of a magnetic sense, because all other factors such as wind direction, sunlight, temperature change throughout the days and the seasons. This is the first proof that the behavior of larger animals is influenced by the Earth's magnetic fields, and opens up the possibility that many others are too. Maybe even we are and we don't even know it. Number 8. Crows hold a grudge. Crows also show very similar traits to humans and are often thought of as one of the most intelligent bird species. Research in 2012 showed that their level of intellect went far beyond what was previously thought. They have a great memory and will most definitely hold a grudge. Researchers found that crows would remember the faces of humans that had previously captured them, sometimes years after the event, and then taunt and even dive bomb them. They would also enlist their friends to help to attack the human, even if they had no previous interactions with them. Rather than simply being an evil bird that attacks people, when the researchers wore masks to obscure their faces, the crows would act normally. Has anything like this ever happened to you? The second phase of this experiment, after observing the unusual behavior, was to scan the brains of the crows. What the researchers found was astonishing. Their brains would light up in exactly the same way a human's does when we see someone's face that we recognize. The combination of recognition and memory means that if you ever do wrong by a crow, you'll never quite know when they'll come back for their revenge. So be nice to them. Number 7. Parrots don't just imitate. Parrots are renowned for their ability to mimic human speech. It's always fun to see one that has picked up some naughty words along the way, does impressions, or recites the Pledge of Allegiance. But researchers now believe that there is more to this than simply imitating noises that they have heard. Evidence is now emerging that parrots are capable of logical leaps and can even perform linguistic processing to the same sort of level as you would expect from a 4 to 6-year-old child. They also appear to understand concepts to do with quantities like same and different, bigger and smaller, and even numbers. Furthermore, they can also combine different words that they have heard, attribute meaning to them, and use them again in different sequences to make a completely new phrase that makes complete sense. It's such an incredible recognition behavior that parrots are being used by some researchers to try and help assist with machine learning, so robots are able to develop artificial speech, which means that people who are creating robots are now going to teach parrots and study how they learn to help the robot learn how to speak. Pretty cool, right? And now for number 6, but first, be sure to subscribe! Number 6. Chicks chirp to help each other. Quite often we think of animals as being self-serving. They're just living in the present, trying to find their next meal, and becoming the strongest and fittest to survive. But across the animal kingdom, there are plenty of examples of them working together. This is the most prevalent in what we consider to be the more intelligent animals, like apes and dolphins, but the behavior can also be seen in those that are lower down on the intelligence scales. Take chicks, for example. They are barely out of their eggs before they start helping the others around them. They have a special chirp when they are feeding, and this is thought to be a form of kin selection. The chirp alerts nearby chicks that there is food available and allows them to benefit from it before it runs out. In all likelihood, the chicks who benefit from this are related to the one who makes the chirping noise in the first place, so it helps entire families grow up to be strong and healthy. It's proof that evolution isn't necessarily about the survival of the fittest animal, but the survival of the fittest genetic data. Food for thought. Number 5. Predicting earthquakes. Animals have a lot of senses that we don't really have ourselves, or we are just a little out of touch. One of the most interesting theories is that they can detect geological events way before the most sensitive of technologies can, even today. Many species can detect earthquakes, with the first records of this behavior dating back to 373 BC, when droves of rats, snakes, and weasels fled the Greek city of Hellas just days before an earthquake razed it to the ground. Anecdotal evidence suggests that other species, ranging from catfish to chickens to dogs, also detect earthquakes before they happen, but no one's sure what it is that they pick up on. Is it vibrations in the earth? Or maybe electrical changes in the atmosphere? There is debate within the scientific community of whether these behaviors are indeed linked to an imminent earthquake. American seismologists still aren't convinced, but in 2003, a Japanese doctor released a paper that detailed how the erratic behavior of dogs, like excessive barking or biting, can be used to predict an event. It's an area that will be investigated a lot further, because if any signs can be found to give warning of earthquakes and possible tsunamis, it could save a lot of lives. Number 4. Courting by urination. Virtually every species in the animal kingdom has its own unique ways of attracting mates, whether it be by birds singing, peacocks presenting their feathers, or dogs leaving their scents. But 2 of the strangest courting rituals are done by hippos and giraffes. This might be a little graphic, so nobody get offended. You know, nature can be scary, creepy, and gross. Female giraffes will let a potential mate know that they are interested by urinating into their mouths, while hippos will let the opposite sex know that they are ready to mate by urinating and defecating on the same spot at the same time. It may sound disgusting to us, but there's a logical reason behind it. Urine has traces of compounds in it that lets others know how fertile, healthy, and ready to mate that an animal is. And by presenting it to a potential mate, animals are essentially proving that they are worthy. It's all in the chemistry, literally. Number 3. Backwards runners. Naked mole rats are crazy-looking creatures that are native to Africa. They are small, burrowing rodents and spend most of their lives underground in their tunnels. There's a lot of weird things about this species, such as their ability to survive high levels of carbon dioxide, their secretion of a gloopy sugar-based polymer that prevents them from developing cancer, and their long lifespan, up to 30 years. They are also reported as not being able to feel pain. Besides all that, they have a strange ability to run backwards just as fast as they can run forwards. Most animals have developed to face forward. After all, this allows them to see where they're going, and it's not too difficult to turn to face the direction you need to go. When you're a rodent in a tunnel, though, it's not so easy to turn around. The physiology of the mole rat eliminates this problem by having joints in the legs that allow them to function just as effectively no matter which way they need to go. It not only allows them to traverse their tunnels easier, but also lets them escape potential predators much more quickly. Number 2. Whale songs are getting deeper. Whales are arguably the most majestic and mysterious creatures of the ocean. Many of the species are larger than any other animal on Earth, and the blue whale is the largest known animal to have ever existed. They live for a very long time and spend much of their lives in parts of the ocean that's much deeper than we are able to go to understand them further. The songs that they sing are particularly mystifying, and scientists have debated for years about what their songs mean. Is it for communication, searching for food, or something else entirely? This search for answers has meant that whale songs have been studied for decades, and something even stranger has been discovered. The pitch of the songs they sing has been gradually getting deeper, and it's the case for virtually every species. It is most noticeable with the blue whale. Researchers have found that between 1963 and 2008, the pitch has dropped by 31%, which is the equivalent of 3 white keys on a piano. It's true across all populations around the world, and it's a mystery as to why it's happening. Anyway, some suggest that the noise created by human activity on boats and submarines could be to blame. Others think it's pollution or even the changing qualities of water because of the rising temperatures. The most optimistic reason, though, is that the males don't have to sing as loudly or have their song travel as far as they once did. In 1966, there was a world ban on whaling, and as their numbers have been increasing ever since, they don't need to search as far for potential mates. Maybe that's it? Number 1. Crocodiles eat stones. The dietary habits of crocodiles may seem gross to most of us at the best of times, but there's one thing they can't seem to get enough of, and that's stones. Why? What nutritional advantage can they get from that? Well, the answer is none, but it's thought to be very helpful with how they digest food and swim. They aren't the only species known to do this. Some birds do it as well. A stone that is swallowed is known as a gastrolith, and all species of crocodiles do this. The main reason they do it is to aid with digestion. Rocks in their stomach help to crush and grate food, which is particularly useful if you've eaten an entire animal with a bunch of tough bones. Eating stones might also help make the crocodile feel fuller after a small meal, and could even help them to weigh a bit more, which would allow them to stay underwater for longer to wait for their next unsuspecting victim. Thanks for watching! Hope you learned something new. For more videos like these, be sure to subscribe and I'll see you soon. Bye!